I was very blessed because I took a non-traditional route. What God called me to do on this planet is to serve others. My first job as a quote unquote agent was to help retired athletes. So I was working with guys on that back end before coming to guys that are now coming into the league.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Sideline Stories. Today I'm here with Sammy Spina, an NFL agent and published author. How are you doing today, Sammy?
I'm very blessed, man. How are you doing? I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. I'm doing well. I appreciate you asking. Can you just start with a quick intro, let people know who you are?
Yeah, so my name's Sammy Spina. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm now a partner here at VMG Sports Representation, where we represent approximately 20 NFL athletes across the entire league. And we have even more now in the NIL landscape with the way this has changed across college football. So it's a blessing to be in an exciting industry for sure. And I think we haven't seen anywhere near what the future of this industry is going to be here, probably in the next 10 years.
100%. And I'm really excited for this conversation today. I feel like there's a lot we want to get into, but let's just start with the NFL agency. As an NFL agent, I think their day-to-day work, their lifestyle often gets glamorized, whether it be in Hollywood, movies like Jerry Maguire, TV shows like Ballers. Walk us through, a Monday morning through Sunday night, like a day. What is your day-to-day, but what is your, typical week like as an NFL agent?
It's really hard to do that because every day is different. And just when you think you have it figured out, something else will come up, and you'll think you'll have a very chill day or something relaxing planned, and all of a sudden you get a phone call and that changes the entire landscape of your entire day. So really there's no right or wrong answer to that. Like, for example, yesterday I went golfing, right? I had a chance to go unwind a little bit and meet with some people on the golf course and really do that. But other days I'm on the road. There was a period of time, I think it was from the end of the NFL draft, from the end of April all the way up through about a month ago, where I was on a plane probably 2 to 3 times a week, just in and out of cities, going to visit clients, going to visit recruits, those sorts of things. So really the day to day and week to week changes by the hour. And it really depends on what you have going on in those different time periods of the year. I will say this, we're always recruiting, because you're always trying to build and grow and find the right people to represent and right people to become a part of your organization. But from a day-to-day standpoint, it changes so frequently. I think when you think of an NFL agent, you think of Jerry Maguire, like you said, show me the money, and that we're just sitting there negotiating contracts day in and day out. And a lot of that's true, but what most people don't understand is that's the bare minimum of what we do, right? Most of us are attorneys, or went to law school, or have some sort of negotiation background. So from a contract negotiation standpoint, that should be the bare minimum of what an agent does. We do so many other things in between. You and I talked offline briefly before this. Like even right now, I'm planning a charity event for 2 weeks from now for another client in Miami, Florida. Little things like that people don't really see behind the scenes that we actually do and assist with. So it's a wide variety. I always tell people I'm not just an agent. I'm a best friend. I'm a mentor. I'm a big brother. I'm a therapist. I'm a specialist in trying to find you the specialist and those sorts of things. So when an injury occurs, we have to help guide to that specialist and get that set up. When a player gets traded to a new city, we're helping find accommodations for them to stay in. Also shipping vehicles and all those sorts of things. So it's a lot that goes into day-to-day aspect of it.
I wanted to ask you, a common theme throughout my podcast are this idea that athletes are in today's world more than just an athlete. How do you as an agent help athletes reach their goals off the field and once they hang up the cleats, once their career is over?
Big part of it starts with the relationship. It's really hard to help someone when you don't know anything about them. And I think, nowadays you have a lot of mass agencies where they're just signing and signing and signing. And when you have 100 guys, it's really difficult to learn as much as you can about them and their families and really what's important to them, and then help propel, what that is that's important to them to drive what comes next, right? And so I would say that the relationship aspect of it and really knowing and having that relationship and that friendship and that true bond and openness, right? Those candid, open conversations gives you that foundation of, okay, here's what's important. Now that we have what's important to you personally, how can we pillar from there? And for me, I was very blessed because I took a non-traditional route into becoming an agent where I always felt like I was called to serve. And that's what God called me to do in this plan, is to serve others. And my way into being an agent was actually by volunteering at a charitable foundation for a retired athlete. And then my first job as a quote unquote agent was to help retired athletes. So I was working with guys on that back end before coming to guys that are now coming into the league. So seeing that from different levels, those that are doing very well in retirement and then those that are struggling in retirement, um, it gives you a different perspective,
Mm.
because you see what you can do with the tools and resources you have around you as long as you maximize them now. Um, as an agent, we can't force anyone to want to do something, but if they open up to us, we can, if we have the relationships, which, is part of our job is keeping and nurturing those relationships. We have those relationships with not just our clients, but others around the country. It enables us to now connect the dots for people to start branching off and doing different things in their business life.
You've helped out the Jason Taylor and Dan Marino Foundation. You've helped out the homeless in your local community. You talk about, back in 2011, the Western Pennsylvania Prescription Drug Abuse Summit. You're going around middle schools, high schools, talking about, the dangers of hard drugs and then, sorry, most recently, working with an NFL player. You're doing a community event, a bowling event with over 100 kids. What inspires you to keep giving back? And what's the importance in your eyes of staying involved within one's community and having a positive impact within the community?
Servant leadership. I mean, point blank, period. It all starts and ends there for me. I mean, Jesus is the ultimate example of being a servant leader of this world. So if I'm going to emulate him in any sort of way, it starts and ends with that, right? Trying to be more like him and try to give back to others any way possible. So I think it's something that's important, even if, you know, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you're never expecting anything in return from it. You're just expecting to try to help others, right? And that's what our mission is. That's what our goal is. Thankfully, I've been blessed with some athletes that are clients and very good friends that now, that's their vision too. And so I get to take their vision of how they want to help and different aspects of their community and be able to go now help them achieve those goals, right? Raheem Mostert, running back for the Miami Dolphins last year, he took a whole U-Haul full of toys, a big U-Haul truck full of toys from Miami, Florida, back to his hometown in New Smyrna Beach, and was able to bless a lot of kids with gifts for Christmas that otherwise may not have had them, especially after just experiencing a giant hurricane that came through. So just being able to help coordinate, what their vision is and make it a reality has been a blessing for me. And like we discussed earlier, my route to becoming an agent was very unique, and it started actually with the Jason Taylor Foundation by volunteering with them. I got connected with their executive director, a guy named Seth Levitt. Seth and I still talk pretty frequently. I talked to him yesterday actually on the phone, and Seth led me to this course of being an agent. He knew I was a law student, and it started out as me just being a volunteer that showed up at events. And next thing you know, I'm a volunteer that shows up every single day to the office in between classes. And that led for Seth to make an introduction to me to a guy named Ralph Stringer, who started NeoStar Football, which was my first agency job in the business. And it all spiraled from there. So through Ralph, I met Marvin Demoff, and Marvin's one of the greatest agents to ever represent athletes in all of football and history. And so being able to follow in those footsteps and see it done the right way, it all stems back to the original foundation, which actually was, in this case, a foundation.
I appreciate the, you walking us through how a volunteer opportunity and how wanting to help others at the community nonprofit level allows you to meet people. And, you meet people, whether or not someone out here listening believes in, faith or God or Jesus, whatever it is, like, yeah, people come into your life for a reason. And the timing happens when the timing happens for a reason. So I think at the bare minimum, that, you're living proof of that. So Sammy, at this time, I just wanted to say, we really appreciate your time, your insights. You're hearing more about your background and journey and breaking into sports, I know is going to help people out there, and continuing to share that story and to be, a role model and to give back in the way you do is admirable. So I just want to say at this point, if there's anything else that we didn't get to, feel free to add it. The floor is yours. And if you could let people know where to find you and follow along on the journey.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add, honestly, is thank you, Brendan, because what you're doing right now is highlighting people and sharing stories, and similar to even my goal in breaking into sports, you're giving people insight to the behind the scenes and pulling back curtains a little bit, and trying to showcase different avenues to achieve success in whatever industry it is. So kudos right back to you for what you're doing, and thank you again for having me on. Social media, I'm on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Sammy J Spina, just my name.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sammy. Guys, make sure Sammy J Spina across socials. Make sure to support VMG Sports and all that they're doing. The book is called The Fight. I believe it's on Amazon. And definitely tune in and make sure to follow along with Sammy's journey. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.